It's another episode of this Wearable Today. Wearable Today, it's episode number 76. Could not find a part of the path. My name is Jeffrey Powers. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about wearable sensors that you'll never be wearing, but they'll be able to get to it. Sporting events, concert events, possibly how they could actually set up their wearables so they can get your crowd information right from there. We're also going to talk about Pavlok. We're going to talk about low-power microchips for on-body wearables. We're going to talk about, there's a nice little infographic we're going to show, this new Scotty vest that's on crowdfund, all that and a whole much more, and even some earplugs. And we're going to talk about that next on this episode of Wearable Today. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here with Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek, and you've got Wearable Today. How's that work? I don't know. But anyway, thanks a lot for coming to the show, Wearable Today, where we talk about wearable technology at its best, at its worst, and everything in between. And this week we've, as we do every single week, we have co-hosts in crimes, or something like that, Mr. Luke Wallace and Birdie. How you doing?
Doing good tonight, Jeff. Just hanging out here behind Birdie. Yeah, we're doing good. You can find me on Twitter at Luke Luca. That's LukeLuca. Or you can email me for the show, luke@wearabletoday.com. And there goes Birdie.
He's just got to fly. Spread his wings and fly away like the Coco Beware. Anyway. Speaking of being where, let's beware about big news. Little arms. That was a little lame there.
What?
Can you do a better one? That's better.
Yeah.
All right. Start it off.
Okay, so up first. Will Pavlok help you curb your midnight cravings? Name for the Pavlovian response. This is a shock collar that you wear on your wrist. It can send a shock several times a day, even when you're not craving food. The idea is really to stop whatever bad habit you're doing through configurable reminders, but it may be that you end up just taking it off from all these periodic shocks that you're receiving.
Well, I know I'd probably take it off if it kept shocking me. So, all right. You might hear some thunder in the background. That looks like it's going to be raining like a banshee in a couple minutes here. But anyway, let's move on. University of Virginia researchers are working on a new lower-powered microchip so it can be supported on the body. The chip would support real-time health monitoring and long-term use. The associate director, John Latch, he's with the University of Virginia's Assist of Translational Research. He said basically that they're going to be working and trying to figure out childhood asthma right now with this technology, but they definitely want to increase it, make it better, and make it go for a lot more than just that.
And finally, we've got a infographic over at itproportal.com or itproportal.com. It shows some great facts about wearables. Did you know that there were 10 million wearables sold in 2014, and that 76,000 people are employed by companies developing wearables? This infographic even talks about cows that have wearables that farmers can use to track the livestock efficiency. You can read about this and more over at itproportal.com or Proportal.
No, you like to move it. Wait, what? Something like that. Anyway. All right, let's move on. What we got next? We got our next segment, which is, of course, Fund Me, where we talk about the wearable fundings of wearables and fundings of wearables of funds or something like that. So, my friend Scott Jordan over at Scotty Vest is coming out with the Ultimate Pocket Fleece. And so it's a crowdfunding their newest vest. It's the Ultimate Pocket Fleece with 19 hidden pockets, one that's RFID blockable, so you can put your passport and stuff like that in there. And, you know, if you're walking through some questionable areas and somebody's, you know, some bum's got an RFID scanner trying to scan your stuff, then you won't get scammed or anything like that. From phones to tablets, water, IDs, headphones, and a whole bunch more. Some pockets you don't even need to take the items out to use them because they're clear pockets and you can use them to swipe around and stuff like that. You can even get an early fleece through this crowdfund. It's starting at let me scroll down here a bit. It's starting at $150 for the ultimate pocket fleece, and they got about 850. Only 27 have been claimed, and they'll be out around around fall time when you definitely need it, and you'll see some of these cool pictures. Now, this is a crowdfund I can get behind because one, I know the CEO. Two, I know the company. They've been around for years, and this is just they're trying to figure out whether this vest is going to work, and if it doesn't work, then they don't make it, then they'll give your money back. So that's pretty crazy. Wow, we've got some powerful wind going outside. So I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that at all?
No, I don't hear it. I think your microphone blocks it all. But
Wow, it sounded like like a I don't know I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, sorry. Uh, so so Scotty Vest, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Is this something that you'd like to get there, Luke, or what?
well, I've always thought the Scotty vests were pretty cool. I thought that was really. It's always been neat. I kind of like the idea of carrying around a lot of stuff without it looking like you're carrying around a lot of stuff, and just having that kind of stuff handy.
Yeah.
I really like. I was afraid that you posted this and you said we were going to talk about it, and I was like, oh man, this thing looks really cool. I bet it's like $500 or something. And I look and I'm like, ooh, 150. It's like that's pretty tempting because it has a lot of different pockets.
Yeah.
Big, small, all the right sizes. Being able to route your headphones through it so you can keep those in there. It's like this. This could be a really nice jacket for walking around in the winter when it gets cold, and they're hoping to have it out for the fall, and it's pretty tempting. Like, I'm not usually tempted by crowdfunds and Kickstarters and stuff. This one I'm gonna have to think about just a little bit.
Yeah.
I have enough fleeces, I think, but they just don't. They're not that useful, or they're not. They don't have as many pockets like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not big enough for a laptop. So it wouldn't be something that I could take and wear to work instead of having a bag. But it would.
Are you
be
sure
nice.
about that?
I think he only showed the one for he showed the one for iPad. I'm looking here through the thing, and it's like if it had
Yeah, he did show the iPad Mini, and I know you can put a full size iPad in there. So that means,
yeah.
if you have a lot like this HP here is about just a little bit bigger than an iPad, and so I could probably
It
put it
might
in that
just
pocket.
fit,
It would be
yeah.
very uncomfortable, but I could do it.
Yeah. So it's like it's probably not going to replace my bag I carry to work, but
Oh
it'd
yeah,
be sure nice for walking around on the weekends and being able to just have, your wallet and your phone, and even even if it's not tech stuff, just being able to have nice separate pockets for your gloves or your
exactly.
hat or whatever. So it's like it's pretty tempting. But I don't know. It'd be hard. It's definitely very, very tempting. And fleece is like the right weather for here in Texas, where we don't have a lot of really, really cold days, so you can pretty much wear a fleece jacket like all winter, except for a few days when it gets really cold.
Yeah.
And so it's like a fleece jacket and a scarf is about all you need. So
Yeah.
it'd be pretty tempting to go with something like that.
And it's more than that. I mean, you can use it as like if you're a fisherman, you could use it as a fishing vest. If you're we have these reporter vests that we used to wear when we went to CES. Scotty vest would replace that easily. And of course, these things have zipper arms, so you can remove the arms if you want to customize it a little bit, customize your look, customize how warm or cold you are, and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
really nice. And there are other vests. If you've ever seen a Scotty vest, amazing vests out there, or coats and stuff like that. I've seen many podcasters put in their recording apparatus on one side and then wrap the cords around them so they have their microphone to go back and forth, and you don't have cords getting in the way. And and it's just amazing. Now it's a little bit about Scott and Scotty Vest. Scott actually was on Shark Tank like a year and a half ago, and he got into a big argument with Mark Cuban about patentable technology and stuff like
Hmm.
that. We won't get
Hmm.
into that too much, but he's also got that patent on putting stuff inside of a jacket to come out in one end out the other. So amazing stuff, and I'm gonna try and figure out how I'm gonna get one for $150. So if anybody wants to get me one for $150, feel free to do so. Jeff at wearabletoday.com. It's simple as that. So,
Yeah.
but any other thoughts
Ooh.
on this? Oh, the other thing, yeah, that RFID pocket.
That's
Here it
yeah,
is right
that's
here.
really nice. Yeah, that'd be really good for travel. Just being able to keep your passport in there and know that it's safe, or even your wallet. That's probably what I'd keep it, just so that you know that no one's grabbing anything.
Yeah,
I do like that they have some lower end stuff. A lot of these fund me segment things that we talk about. It's kind of like,
yeah,
well, you can either spend $5 and get a sticker, or $400 and get the product, maybe in like a year. And this
possibly.
guy,
Yeah,
it's at least like like you said, it's a well-known company, so that's a lot safer. It's coming very soon, September of this year, so
yeah,
it's just a couple of months away. You're basically just pre-ordering it before they do their production runs, and
exactly.
getting a limited edition, with good stuff, numbered limited edition versions of it. So it's kind of nice. But they also have some other ones. I like that they have at $18 a baseball hat with two hidden pockets. It says, plus a
Yeah,
sticker, and
yeah,
then for $60 they've got their performance shirt plus that hat. And so it's like ooh, even a hat with some pockets in it. That might be nice for when I go on a run or something.
yeah, definitely,
To
definitely. So,
have a hat to wear, or even just going to like a ballpark or something and having a place to store some cash, or
yeah.
something like that. It'd be not too crazy. You just have to make sure not to lose your hat then. So
Or yeah, or set it down because you're like warm and yeah, and
yeah,
then walk
yeah.
away with it. Yeah,
But I like that they at least offer those things, and they of course have an option where you can get all of it if you just want everything together. So
yeah.
like I really like this. It seems like a
Oh yeah.
really neat product.
Yeah, and definitely, next time I talk to him, we'll definitely. I let him know that we're talking about it on the show tonight. So, he's if you ever need to talk to somebody about this type of stuff, he's very approachable,
Yeah.
and he has a lot to say. He's the pocket man. He's got this nice Polaris car, which he's dolled up with his Pocket Man logo and GoPros and stuff like that. So it's crazy. It's a great crowdfund, and I'm really proud to actually put it onto the show because, like I said, this is not only a crowdfund that will happen, or you'll get satisfaction out of it. Either you'll get your fleece, or they didn't make enough to get enough, so they'll give you your money back. It's just something to get behind, and that's what I like about it. So, all right, and also to show you that not all crowdfunds are bad because we did the bad crowdfund last week. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's move on from there. Let's go over to our next segment. It's called the Apple Watch. Watch. Oh, I forgot about that. There you go. Okay, so you might not want to take that Apple Watch to class with you, especially during test time. With these new tech advances, here's kids with their tech advances. The universities are concerned that of the cheating factor of smaller wearables, including watches and even devices that could get smaller than that. Nothing in the United States just yet for rules, but Australia has already restricted these devices during the tests. They cannot be worn, they cannot be placed on the desk, and you don't want to put $400 watch into your coat pocket because somebody could see that pass by and go pick that up, and next thing you know, you don't have a $400 watch anymore. So the question is, do you leave it at home? Do you even get an Apple Watch if you're going to school? Is it worth it? But interesting stuff, and then one of those new areas that we really need to explore is the ability to, and not just universities too. I mean, you could be doing your CPA or something like that, and they're gonna have to scan you for all these devices, just so they make sure that you don't cheat or anything like that. What type of tests? What about certification tests and stuff like that? Uh, where technology people, these are the people that love this type of technology. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I can any sort of certification. I'm sure they're already banning, cell phones and stuff. Like you can't have your cell phone out on the table while you're taking some sort of
Hmm.
certification. So this just would extend to that and be like, and you can't be using a device that talks to your smartphone and can show you information from it because that's kind of almost the same thing. So you're, yeah, I don't see how this isn't going to start being a problem, and everybody's going to start mentioning as like, no, you cannot have a smartwatch out. No, you cannot have a cell phone out. Because it
Yeah,
used to be, well, what's the problem with the cell phone? I'm not going to call anybody. It's just I need it for the clock. And it's like, yeah, that was fine when there wasn't much. When that's all it did was make phone calls. But now you can do a ton with that
yeah.
thing. You could have an app that looks like a calculator that it actually hides notes or something. I mean,
Oh
there's
no,
all these.
I could have an app that simply I could pick up the phone and I could do this. If my test, let's say my test is right here, I could do this and then set the phone down, and it's just completely scanned that page, and it could, and then turn around and give me text message answers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
It,
could have it send
that's
it
a
off
little
to
bit too
somebody.
much, but
Yeah,
yeah.
like yeah, it wouldn't be that hard to imagine happening. So
So it's interesting stuff, but it definitely if you never know who's that API programmer that will make some really cool way to cheat, whether it be in school or whether it be, like I said, taking a CPA, or taking some of these, what I call $100,000 exams, which are
mm,
basically, like a Cisco certified professional or a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. $100,000 jobs are
yeah.
at stake on you passing the test and not cheating, and so interesting stuff, and something to think about. How about you with your Moto 360? Have you been banned to do anything with it as of yet?
No, not really, because I haven't been taking any sort of formal exams or anything like that. So no. So yeah, I think most people aren't going to run into problems with this, and it's kind of like the taking Google Glass into a movie theater, right? Like you're going to
Yeah,
kind of know if you're like, huh, I'm going into a place where they don't want me to have access to any sort of materials or smartphone or whatever. I'm sure my watch is fine. Like, what are you doing? Like, of course this is going to be a problem, and people are going to assume the worst. Or it's not so much that they think you're going to do it, but they might. You might do it, or someone might be able to, and so they don't. They just rather would not have
yeah,
to
yeah. Totally
monitor
agree.
you that closely and make sure you're not using your watch for something that isn't, just telling the time. Like, oh, he just got a message on his watch. Is that just a text message, or did someone send him in some sort of answer? And it's like they're like, we just don't want to have to monitor you that closely, so just take it off. And
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, they definitely haven't figured it all out just yet. So
oh
we'll
yeah,
go from there. So let's move on. We got another article for Apple Watch because, like I said, we're looking for wearable tech journalists, bloggers, or whatever, to start writing news for Wearable today. So we have more content on the site, so you can come to the site and be a part of it. So if you're a blogger out there looking to write like an article a week about wearable technology, we definitely have some spots opened up. Marcus seems to, or Marco, I'm sorry, I said Marcus. Marco seems to have the Apple Watch and wearable part really taken care of because he's got a couple great articles here. First of all, he shows off the top five most useful apps, and that includes stuff like PC Calc, WebMD reminders, and more. There's a couple airplane ones that I'm really starting to look at and hoping that they'll really work on from there. So I'll let you read that on your own. Any apps that you find interesting, that we need to talk about at all?
oh, there's one that I'm using on my Moto 360. It's called Eris Weather. Let me take my watch off so I can hold this up to the camera a little better. It's really nice. Let's see if this will go down there. And basically, it shows a nice weather report for like the current time with both high and low for the day, and then it shows kind of the immediate hourly forecast, short coming up, and then 5-day forecast, and then it's really cool. It even shows the radar, so you can
Okay.
see what the current weather is doing.
Can
And
you
so,
scroll up to Madison, Wisconsin, and see what's going on?
no, this is just a static map based on your location. But yeah,
It's definitely. It sounds like cars are getting whipped around out there.
wow.
So if the power goes out, the show's over. That's as simple as that. But because the only thing that'll probably stay up is this one laptop because of external battery, but everything else will be down. So, but yeah, it's sounding like a pretty bad storm out there. So anyway, so if you want to check that out, go over. We got that over at wearabletoday.com. We've also got a nice article, and we're going to debut a brand new section, and I forgot to load it. It's called Print Me Up, and just picture a 3D printer here printing up the logo. So, okay. And let's go here. Marco also talked about some 3D printable watch docks that you can set up. Of course, Marco's part of he works over at MakerBot, does a lot in 3D printing. We've had some really cool stuff come from Marco, but some great little docks right here, including this one, which will charge your phone and the Apple Watch at the same time. We'll scroll down a little bit to see some of these other designs. Even one that apparently glows as you go, as you charge. And so then this is all stuff that you can get over at Thingiverse to make yourself if you've got access to a 3D printer or know somebody that does, like us, and print up some stuff for your Apple Watch. And of course, Marco's made the Moto 360 stuff for Luke. Has he sent you any Apple Watch docs or anything like that?
No, he has not. But maybe he could send some out to some of our viewers if he was willing to do that. So we might have to talk to him about sending that. I think that'd be pretty cool to do maybe some giveaways or something. And then I've got access to a 3D printer. We have a couple at work now, have had for a couple of months, and so I could even print some stuff off like this, and maybe we could send it out. We'll have to talk about that after the show. If you're interested in that, you should hit us up on Twitter. Hashtag Wearable Today, hit Luke Luca or Geekazine, and we'll keep an eye out for that. Just let us know if you'd be interested in having some of that stuff.
Yeah, I know Birdie wants some of those wearables, those 3D printers.
I think we need to print up some little tiny wearables to go around our little tiny feet. Because
there you go.
it'd be hard to fit around her wings, but around her little tiny feet. She's got these little wrists. She's like, "What are you doing? Why are you messing with my foot?"
So anyway, you can check out both of those articles over on wearabletoday.com. Check them out, and thank you to Marco for doing that, and go from there. And that does it for our section of Big News, Little Arms. That's better. All right. Well, hey, it's been a very interesting week for me. And what have you been up to there, Luke, this week?
Not a whole lot. Doing some more work around the house. This weekend, the project was installing a Nest thermostat. So that's been fun. I was gonna pull that up on the app. I don't know if they've rolled out the new version of the app yet. I don't know if that's what I'm looking at. But they have a version of it, and so it's kind of nice. You can, see the current temperature, and then pull it up and get a nice little, readout and turn the temperature up and down. I've got it. It looks like it's set pretty warm. It's actually pretty comfortable because the humidity is low, so not too bad. Saves a little power, and like I said, it's not really uncomfortable or anything. But it's neat to show just history of how much energy you're using over the day. I'm sure a ton of people that are watching this have a Nest. So I've only had it for a couple of days, so I don't have all those long-term, experiences with it. But I'd love to hear what other people think, and if there's any tips that people have for ways to either optimize it or certain settings that maybe you didn't know about, like until several months after you'd owned it, and you're like, oh, I wish I'd known about this sooner. Tweet me or email us and let us know if there's some way it ties in with wearables. I was looking for a good Like one, they don't have a wearable component to their app, so I can't pull up like the thermostat on my watch and adjust it from there. So that's really pretty lame. I'm kind of disappointed by it. But maybe somebody else has another app that does that. And so that's what I'm looking for.
Do you know about IFTTT? If this and that?
Yeah, yeah. So I know you can tie those kinds of things together yourself. But I was hoping for just a native app experience where I just, I downloaded the Nest app, so why isn't there a wearable component to that so that I can just hit it, bring up, all my Nest stuff and adjust the temperature. It's like, it really should be something that is on there. And I should be able to say, okay, Google, start Nest, and start it up and do that. So if anybody's found a really good app for that. So yeah, if this, then that. I've heard that there's like one button things you can make where it's like, hey, so here's set a button for I'm home, or set a button for I'm away. Like things like that could be useful. I might look into that a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, since I rent, I was actually, Verizon wanted to offer me a review of the Nest, which apparently had some sort of internal card or something like that, some sort of SIM that would get wireless signals. So maybe it hooks up to my Wi-Fi, but maybe I don't know. I didn't take it simply because of the fact, like I said, I rent. So that means I have to do stuff to the thermostat and switch it back. It's not difficult to do, but then I become responsible for the thermostat, and I just don't want to deal with that. So. But yeah, let us know if you find anything, Luke, or if anybody out there, Luke at wearabletoday.com. Let them know, and we'll go from there. So
yeah, I'd love to hear what people have learned from their Nest.
All right, cool. Well, it's been a very interesting 24 hours for me. This morning I got a phone call saying that somebody used my credit card in California. Uh-oh. And so I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And they said, well, we're going to have to turn your card off. And it's like, this is like a debit card. And it's like, this is like holiday weekend coming up. We're going out of town. I can't wait 10 days to actually get a new credit card. And they go, oh, you don't need to. You can go to one of our branches and get a credit card printed up. And I was like, what? So that's what I did today. I can't really show the credit.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't show that, but you...
Well, I'm not going to show... Here, I'll just do this. This is my new credit card. And it was printed up right at the branch. And it's amazing. They messed up, and they didn't activate it, so I came back here, and I started putting the credit card in, my monthly...
Sure.
Updates and stuff like that. Yeah. But, it was nice to have the credit card already. Had the pin, I put the pin in and everything like that. I'm all good to go. The first one I did, and they said, this credit card doesn't work. It's like, what's going on? So I called them up and go, oh yeah, we forgot to activate it. So I was like,
oh yeah.
So finally got it activated. But as I was driving to the bank, my truck made this really horrible noise in gear. So I've been spending a lot of the day trying to figure out what's going on with that. It kind of sounds like my serpentine belt might need to be replaced and the pulley with it. If that's the case, that's very easy to do. I've done it before. My brother has all the tools. He just comes over. We do it. We put it together, and it's done. Hopefully it's not anything more than that. But today has been just kind of like this whole freak-out type day. Now, with this rainstorm, almost tornado sound that's going on outside, and I don't know what's going on. I'm surprised we haven't lost power. Cross your fingers. So that's pretty much been my day. As for the rest of the week, it's been pretty lame. I went to mow the lawn. I finally got the lawnmower back. So the lawn was a little bit overgrown growth. I wanted to find my misfit. I misplaced my misfit because I wanted to wear it. I wanted to show you the number of steps that mowing the lawn will show. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't able to do that. So I can't do much on that. Other than that, tomorrow there's a big Microsoft event I'm going to be going to, and I'll know more about it tomorrow, and I'll report if there's anything wearable-wise from Microsoft. I'll let you know next week and go from there. So, all right, let's move on here. Of course, as always, try to highlight a piece of wearable technology as we go. And I've got this little device right here. It's called Dubs. But first of all, I want to tell you about our place over at wearabletoday.com/deals. Wearabletoday.com/deals. You can then, what did I do? I thought I brought that up. Basically, it's the Amazon page where they got lots of great deals for wearables out there. And of course, the first thing on there is the Dubs acoustic filters. But of course, you can get some great deals on refurbished, returned items. There's a Moto 360 for $154. Can't go wrong there. But you can check that out over at wearabletoday.com/deals. But I got this little thing. It's called Dubs. It's acoustic earplugs. So they're fancy earplugs basically. And I got them. They were about $20 on in the deals area. But they do a great job in filtering it out for bands and stuff like that, for live music. That I could hear the music, I could still hear people talk, and it didn't sound like a big old muffled mess. But I was more impressed when I actually used these to mow the lawn, because even with headphones, the lawnmower is just super loud, and I put these in, and I could hear myself. I'd hear a lot less of the lawnmower. I think it's like up to 20 decibels that I lost from the lawnmower, so I could actually mow the lawn a little bit more peacefully. And then people pass by and they ask me questions. It's like, what? I can't hear you because you're so far away. I got these earplugs in, so pretty cool stuff. They're called Dubs, DUBS, acoustic filters, and they're meant to be something you put into your bag, something you put in your car, and you take care of. And so you can take care of your ears, because you got to take care of your ears, for they should take care of you. So, do you use any type of earplugs? Do you go to live concerts and stuff like that, Luke? Or
Not very often, but occasionally I do, and I'm always, I think I'm getting too old, and I'm like, this music is too loud. This does not make it better. Please turn it down. I will enjoy it more. And I'm like, yes, I'm getting to be an old man. These don't have a battery in them, though, right? These are just work, right? You don't have
these
to.
are just these are just filtered. There's no sun, there's no solar thing to them or anything like
Yeah,
that. They just filter.
They just filter, but it's not plugging. So, or it's different in that you still get all the clarity, right? It doesn't like muffle the sound. It's actually like that's really really interesting. It does kind of tempt me because I do have. I know at least one big concert I'm planning on going to in a couple of months, and it's like maybe it'd be worth getting something like that just to have, just to do it. I wonder how it works on like planes. I wonder if it kind of works like noise canceling headphones, where it kind of lowers that white noise at all. Like that would be interesting.
That's a good question. Maybe I can find out a little bit more on that. But yeah, I don't have. I'm not taking any trips in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But definitely, I'll definitely take it next time I get on a plane. I'll definitely take these with me and test them out, and then I'll give you the results on that later.
Yeah, I definitely need to make sure I add a pair of those to my wish list on Amazon so that I can remember those, because it's like that does sound pretty good. Ooh, and it looks like the teal ones are on a little bit of a discount right now. So if you wanted to get them a couple bucks off, you could get the teal ones, and it's like that's a pretty good price for, like you said, taking care of your ears so that your hearing doesn't go prematurely. Exactly. And also, hey, maybe you don't have to use them a whole lot, and you get a lot more value out of it. Of like you can enjoy those concerts a little bit more by.
Well, here's another thing that I do. I used to do this when, as a drummer, I would always have this ear problems and stuff like that. Since 2005, I've used in-ears, which is basically something like this, where all the music gets filtered through. Therefore, I can put it down to a reasonable decibel. Cymbals get blocked and stuff like that. So, what I would do is I would take this, and I would actually, before in-ears, I would put only one in-ear in, or one earplug in, and then rotate it or switch it out between songs. So every 2 or 3 songs, I'd flip it over to the other side. Every 2 or 3 songs, flip it over to the other side. It helped, especially with tinnitus. and which I used to get horribly bad. That would be, for the next 3 4 days, I'd get this horrible, not only high pitched ring in the ears, but also a low pitch ring. And so that's when I decided I'm going in ears, and I'm pretty much not going to look back. I rarely play music drum wise through monitors because
Hmm.
it's just going to destroy my hearing. So, but anyway, something kitchen that's all over at wearabletodaycom/deals, and of course it helps support the show. Other ways you can help support the show: if you go over to the YouTube channel, just search for Wearable Today, you'll see a donate money button, and we're going to have that on the website as well, so you can donate some cash to keep the show going. We've got some great ideas coming up in the future, and the more important thing is we are making the plan to be a part of South by Southwest 2016. Today they announced that the panels are going to be set up, and if you've ever went through a panel speaking at South by Southwest, it's part about what you bring to the table for a panel, and it's part about how many people vote on it. So there's gonna be two parts to it. The first part is us putting together a really kickin' wearable panel, which I've already gotten people like Luke already involved. I know Marco's involved on that. He'll bring a couple 3D printed wearable items that we'll talk. I've got one guest already lined up, and he is excited to do this. I'm not going to say who it is just yet because, if things change or anything like that. So, and then, of course, we're looking for another guest. So we're going to run it like the regular show, 1 hour show, except we're going to be interviewing. Marco will come on, show up the wearables, and then the guests will come on. We'll do interview segments, and then of course after South by Southwest, you'll be able to see it right on wearabletoday.com if you can't go to South by Southwest. But I'm very excited about that. Have you ever been to South by Southwest, Luke?
No, I think we've talked about this before when you went down there, and yeah, I haven't been. I don't know if anybody watching has been, but it's been a fun, or it always looks like a fun time.
Oh yeah,
Looks like and it's where a lot of really cool stuff, especially in the past few years, launched. I think Twitter launched there. I think Foursquare launched there. I know
mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of services like that where people were saying, you know what, we need to really do this at a big tech event, and South by Southwest Interactive was what they chose, and so that's pretty amazing that's the tech conference that a lot of this startup stuff comes from. So
Yeah,
what comes out of South by can just be, just really amazing. So yeah, I've never been, but
yeah.
yeah, I'd love to go. I've got I told you I have another panel that I'm hoping to submit sometime this month or by the end of July for the panel stuff to potentially be going to speak on something else. So
Okay.
if that works out, then that'd be really cool, and I'll mention that on the show too.
Yeah, definitely, and it'll be great. I'm also working on a couple other, being at a couple other wearable events as Wearable Today, so you guys can see what's going on in the wearable world besides what's on the screen right now, and get a little bit more involved. So definitely some really cool stuff coming up in the foreseeable future here. So just stick around, and well, of course, watch the show. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the show as it is right now. It's a pretty good show. At least I think so. I don't. Are we doing a good job or what, Luke?
I think so. I think, but we do need to make sure that everybody watching or listening. I listen to the podcast version of it myself, but anybody listening needs to make sure you're tweeting us. Let us know which events you're going to be at. If you're going to be in the Austin area, maybe we could do a wearable meetup. If you hear about a wearable meetup and you're going to it, let us know, and we'll go there, help cover it, all that kind of stuff. Keep us in the loop. I think that the people that watch and listen to this show shouldn't just feel like they have to consume all this. They should actually help give back, and they can
Be a part of
help
it.
us have a better show by telling us about all the cool stuff going on. I mean, you guys can be our eyes and ears on the ground wherever
Yeah.
you're at. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you pull out your phones and just do a quick. If you see something like this and you're on the table, you go, oh, you take a snap of it, send it to me. I'll put it in the show. Not a
yeah,
problem. So,
yeah.
uh,
We'd love to have some more like viewer participation as we
oh yeah,
do the show. We can
yeah,
definitely do shout outs if you've got a cool wearable story and you just want us to kind of read it on the air. Tell us about how you integrate with your Nest or your Dubs or whatever you got. Let us know, and we'll.
Yeah, definitely. And down in the Austin area, I know my friend Wesley, he's been trying to put together some wearable meetups, so you can check that out with him. If you need details, let me know, and we'll go from there. So, all right, let's get into the focus so we can get you on your way. And we're going to start over here. The article, we're extrapolating from the article, and I was reading in this, and I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, in 5 years, what's going to happen when you go to a live sporting event? What's going to happen when you go to a concert? Are you going to be entertained more than you're entertained before? And this is where I'm going with this. Let's start with the article here. Wimbledon got a bunch of data from the crowd. They worked with Jaguar, the car company, and they gave everybody these little wristbands. And those little wristbands had collected information. And because Wimbledon's one of those places where emotion is big, big, big. So they wanted to get that recorded, and they wanted to figure out how they can improve on that and make the emotion just this event for Wimbledon. So they use this data in-ground sensors monitoring the energy around the courts, collating data, crowd movement, audio levels, and infrared. And they had sociometrics tracking to follow the conversation amongst fans through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all that other stuff. So they basically put together this whole chart, which is great. But this got me started getting me thinking. A wearable that you don't realize that you're wearing, that's collecting data and turning around and making it so the people that put on these events understand what's going on, understand the emotion, and get you more into the event, whether your team is winning or it's losing, or if it's a concert, what songs do you expect to really get excited for, and what songs don't you get excited for. And it started to make me think about, what if your seat became a wearable? What if certain areas of the stadium collected data, such as the atmospheric in-ground sensors that they talked about on this article? What if you go into certain areas and they're just measuring traffic, or how many people are standing at the concessions line and how long they wait for that concessions, simply by sensors sensing movement coming through there? And whether you love that hot dog that you just bought, or you take a bite and you just completely disgusted with it and you throw it in the trash. I've done that before. But things like this, it's the data that they don't really get to collect before, now they get to collect. And I have a feeling in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to go into a stadium. And the stadiums probably don't have this right now. You'll go into a stadium, and it'll just be aligned with sensors galore. And there might be even some sensors in some of these stadiums checking out things like if person's been drinking too much, or figuring out heat maps of a stadium where people go if they go to the bathroom on the left side, but they don't, but there's this bathroom on the right side that nobody goes to, and how they can get crowds to disperse between the two bathrooms, things like that. Just an amazing time on here. And like I said, I'm going wild here, and I know Luke, you've got a few thoughts on this as well. First of all, do you think that this is an invasion of any type of privacy to be able to put sensors in seats, or they have to put up signs or saying, "Hey, you're being sensor monitored" or whatever?
So, some people will say yes. I think a lot of it comes down to, is it identifiable? We use this term at work sometimes called PII, personally identifiable information. Basically, information that you can tie to a specific person. Like, oh, Jeffrey Powers got up from his seat 12 times, during that concert or game, or, during Wimbledon or whatever. We know that he got up 12 times. Like, people would say that is an invasion of privacy. However, if it's been anonymized, or like if they don't really know who's sitting in that seat, if they don't track that, let's say you go to maybe not a concert or something, but let's just say you're going to something and they're saying like, we're not going to tie that to your name. It's going to be collected in a separate system from the ticket system. So yes, we'll know that that was seat whatever, but then that'll all get averaged together with other people in that section. And so we won't be able to know how many times you specifically got up.
Okay.
And so they'll try to do things like that. So I think it depends on what they gather. The other thing they can do is incentivize it, basically have you agree to it in exchange for some value. So they say, hey, you can use our app, and if you sign in and give us your seat location, then we can track you and we can give you customized tips, or maybe we'll send you a special coupon to use, and we can make sure we don't send out all the coupons at the exact same time so that everyone tries to go get their free drink at the exact same time. It's like, we'll send it to this section, or we'll send it to like 10% of the people during the first game, and then during the second game we'll send it to another 10%, and that way it'll be all over the stadium, so you won't see people just going everywhere.
Or
the whole
random drawing,
kind of a random drawing kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people will say, oh man, yeah, sure, if I can get a free drink, you can track where I'm at, you can track how many times I get up and down, like yeah, that's fine. People will exchange some of that personal information if they think they're going to get some value out of it. Some people might say, no, I don't want you to, so I don't care about the free drink, just leave, I don't want you tracking me. And that's fine, that's their choice, that's great.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be about finding that value proposition between the privacy. So it's like, if they can make it worth something, then yeah, it's good.
Yeah. What's interesting is, from what you said, is if most people don't do this. They don't go into their phone and they say, "Hey, I don't want the friends near me section to work on Facebook." But if you're at a sporting event and you call up Facebook and you go, "Hey, is there anybody that I know that's near me?" And you're probably going to get a whole ton of friends, unless you don't have any friends. Then you'll be able to see it there. So if Facebook's collecting it, and they're not they're just doing it from the phone, from your pocket, a stadium could do that. And in all reality, a stadium is a public place. Mm-hmm. So, and they're responsible for you. If something major happens and you lose a limb or you die or something like that, the first thing that happens is your family sues the stadium, whether it's your fault or not. So they want to have, if they can have that information, keep it as what am I trying to say here? But basically, you're going to sit in their seat. It's not technically your seat. It's your seat for a couple hours. Yeah. If they put sensors in it, they put sensors in it. As long as it's not hurting you, as long as it's not doing something that could harm you at all, it should be fine. And the best part is, you said with the app, not only could you get your personal data, but how cool would it be is if you looked in your phone and you go, oh, all my fans are over on that section, and I'm over here. Maybe I'll try and walk over there and be with the fans, my fans, as opposed to the opposition, which is where I'm sitting right now, or find out that a buddy is actually at the game. So many times I watch, being up here in Packer country, so many times I watch Facebook as people are posting their pictures from their seats, and then I'm going to myself, that person's got to be like 40 feet away from one of my other friends. Yeah. And it'd be cool if you could say, hey, this friend meet this friend, and go from there. So a lot of cool stuff that could happen from there. And there's a little bit of privacy issues, but for most of those people that have the privacy issues, usually don't go to games like that because they don't want to be seen in public like that. Right?
Yeah. So,
I thought you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say my last point. We wrote down some notes ahead of time.
Yeah.
One of the big keys that I wanted to explain and kind of try to get across is that it's all about passive participation. A lot of these companies are trying to get people to, tweet this and post this to Facebook and tag us here, and they're trying to do all of this stuff, and they'll get a lot of that. I'm sure that Wimbledon Wimbledon will get, a lot of people hashtag Wimbledon while they're there, but they discourage the use during the game, so they can't do a whole lot of tracking for that. So I think it's about using wearables as a great example of ways to collect data and tune the experience to people without them having to do anything. So the example I gave was like, let's say you did have an app and, or a wearable, and you could somehow set some preferences with it, like, I like this type of music or this loudness of music, or maybe I like these type of events. I'm very statistically driven.
Yeah.
I want to know all the stats about the game, where someone else might say, well, I want to know all the stories about the game. I want to know like where these people came from and kind of their backstories and all that. And other people are like, I don't care. I just want to know how many games they've won, how many games they've lost, all that kind of stuff. How many games, all that. And so imagine if you could kind of just be walking around and they could be showing stuff on screens, and it was actually tuned for the people around there. Like, hey, we know about 75% of the people around here are caring about stats. We're going to show some stats up on the screen. Or you care about stories, we're going to show like where they're from and like their family and all that. And it's like, oh wow, all of a sudden you're saying, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing by sharing my preferences with them. But it's like you're really making that experience better, and you're like, it was just amazing. I walked around, it felt like it was personally exactly what I wanted.
Exactly.
And so, kind of like we try to do this show, right? We try to make the show exactly like our viewers want, but they got to tell us what it is that they want. Do you want more? Do you want more dinosaur growls? Because I can do them if I need to. Or do you, like, what do you want? It's that kind of experience, right? So it's about that, but it's about it being passive, where you're not having to constantly send everybody in the stadium a message saying, hey, we've got some stats. Click here to read them. Yeah. Hey, we've got this. Would you like to hear it? Oh, click here to read about it. Like,
but that's where other wearables come in. I mean, you remember we talked last year about the hockey. Was it the hockey team in Washington that set up Google Glass? So if somebody was getting a drink or going to the bathroom, missed a good goal, they download the app. They could just swipe and actually see the replay from there. But from what it sounds like is like you could be passing by and going, I want to see this, and then you just kind of beam it off, or you're by the TV and it understands that and it shows you the replay simply because you're by that TV.
Yeah,
is that where you're getting at with that?
Yeah, exactly. Like it could be kind of like it's an example that people probably don't like, but what was the movie with Tom Cruise? Minority Report.
Cocktail? Oh.
Yeah. Top Gun. No, it was where he went off and he was going through, like he had gotten new eyes to hide stuff because his eyes were his wearable at that point. And so he was going through the mall and it was customizing all of the ads for him, but it wasn't really him. It was the guy that they'd gotten the eyes from. And so imagine that kind of thing. You've got this wearable that, it's right now the closest example I can think of are like the Disney Parks Magic Bands, which I've never personally used. I'd love to hear somebody come on the show and talk about that as a wearable, because it seems like a really, really neat experience. But you kind of walk around and that band can be tapped on things and it just makes magic happen. You're like, hey, I know who you are because you tapped your band. Oh, we know you can jump to the front of the line, or we know what we can tie that to your account to pay for this meal and that kind of stuff. So like those kinds of wearables at Wimbledon or any other event are going to be the same way of like, hey, just tap here and we'll show you, whatever it is that you want to see, and you tap it and it's like, oh wow, it's the stats about that guy I just saw watch, because it knew that I was in there watching him, and then it knew I came out and it wanted to, like, hey, here's a cool little heads up, or here's a cool little display for it. So, but I think it's all about like being passive, where you're not having to constantly tell the system, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, just like knowing, and that's where the magic will really happen.
Yeah. And it's good. We're going on a pretty good tangent on this of the different sensors and stuff like that. But it's in all reality, and I'm also saying this is sporting events and concert venues. But 5-10 years from now, you could probably get chairs for a coffee shop with sensor technology in them, and then you can find out how long a person sits in the seat. What was that?
That was my phone. Sorry.
Okay. So, but the whole point is, you could be sitting in a coffee shop, and it'll know when you sat down, know when you get up. Anonymous data, of course.
Sure, sure. But then the coffee
And
shop knows, like, where do people sit for hours and hours on end and never get up? And it's like, okay, we need to either tell people to move, or we need to do something so that
Yeah.
that area isn't like so out of the way that people just camp out there all day, or
Yeah.
or we need to or
No,
we
no,
need
no,
to
but
market.
it's not. It's not about that. It's more about just being able to get the data. So if somebody comes, if they do the books at the end of the month, they go, we're not really making money. Well, why aren't we making money, dude? Is it the fact that our turnaround is not long enough, or are we not getting enough customers sitting down? Are we getting,
Mhm.
what's the heat map? Is are people coming to the front of the store and not walking in? Is there something that they're seeing that's bugging them, or do they just not come to the door, or is it something past that? So we can look at our advertising budget and go from there. So lots of different things that they can put into to make an informed decision. So
Oh
and that's
yeah,
that's where I'm going
absolutely.
with that. And like I said, it's not just sporting events. It's not just live concert venues. It can be almost any public place,
Hmm.
from a classroom to a Death Star, to a coffee shop, to a Tie Fighter, to whatever. It's all it can all be monitored and checked for data, and that's the cool thing about this stuff. So, like I said, we went on a pretty big tangent. Is there anything you wanted to just really add to it that you were wanted to get a point across there?
No, but well, yes. My final thought would be, it's not going to be a single wearable that changes the landscape. It's not
Yeah,
going to be Apple Watch that now everything is different and everything's better because of Apple Watch. But it's not going to be Android Wear either. It's going to be the mixing of all of these things together where,
yeah,
well, if you've got an Apple Watch and you've got this app and you can tie it here and you've made this choice, all of a sudden these things start to integrate, and it's those kind of, those things that connect them all together that really makes it magical. On their own, they're neat. Together, it really
yeah.
changes everything.
And I think that there will be a system, and that'll be the system that the stadium buys,
Hmm.
that the concert venue buys. No different than a security video security system. Even the video cameras will have some sort of sensors on them. You'll have air sensors, you'll have ground sensors, you'll have seat sensors, you'll have doorway sensors, you might even have bathroom sensors, which goes a little bit more into privacy. But once again, it's if it's not video recording you going to the bathroom, is it an invasion of privacy, or is it just them trying to figure out stall number three never gets used, or
Yeah,
anything
something's
like that?
something's going on in there.
Something's going on in there. So, but the whole point is that it'll be a system, and if you really want to start a business from scratch and be the forefront of this idea, here it is. I'm giving it to you on a silver platter.
$1 million idea,
Million
billion
dollar
dollar
idea
idea,
right there.
probably.
And if you do come up with it and make billions of dollars, remember me. Remember Luke. Remember Birdie. Birdie does a lot for this show, so
Yeah.
it's very important. So anyway, and of
Yeah.
course, that's where I want to really go with this show is just kind of the forethought. What's going to happen in 5 years with wearable technology and conversations like this, and trying to get guests on to talk about these futuristic ideas, which I could be talking about it right now. Somebody could actually be doing it, and they could sell it to a stadium tomorrow and have it all set up by the end of this year. It's simple as that.
Yeah,
And
yeah. All the
collecting data.
technology
So
is there. It's nothing. It's nothing outside the realm of possibility. It's just something that hasn't been done yet.
yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, that does it for this episode of the show. We have no sensors to figure out how you're thinking. So please let us know what you're thinking, what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. We've got of course, Jeff at wearabletoday.com. You can also Twitter me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek, and go from there. And Luke, where can people find you?
The papal Can find me on Twitter. He thinks he's papal.
No, I was trying to do the Hank Hill thing like we were doing earlier today.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
That boy ain't right.
So, yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, that's probably the easiest way to send me a quick note at Luke Luca. That's LukeLuca. Or email me for the show, luke@wearabletoday.com. You can see it down here at the bottom. Very, very easy to reach. Or you can find me on Google+. Lots of good content over there. Google.com/plus Luke Wallace.
All right. And then, of course, the hashtag Wear Today. Not Wearable Today, but Wear Today. I wanted to shorten it as much as possible so you can get some good quality content into Wearable Today. So that does it for this episode of Wearable Today, in episode number 76. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening over on iTunes, listening over on Stitcher, and all that other good stuff. So we will be back next week with another episode of Wearable Today. And until then, you guys geek out. We'll see you then, and keep wearing your wearables. I'm going to put my earplugs in now so I don't have to hear Luke at all anymore. So take care. I was joking about that with the earplugs.